So this is going to be the simplest method you'll ever see. And I'll walk through the settings first. 5-minute chart specifically. Baseline overlay number 1. Teamer ribbon, 30 minutes. That's all you need. Everything gets turned off. Except that one, and that one. Baseline overlay number 2. Only thing you need, teamer ribbon, 15 minutes. The bar colors are set to on, and you'll note they're inverse, but that's because they are programmed the wrong way around from each other. That's why it's not blue, blue, red, red, but they can be any color you like. And again, those two plots and the bottom plot, the stars are irrelevant. You can keep them if you like. And this is how it should look. What are you looking for? Really simple. You cross, you go blue for a buy. You cross, you go red for a sell. So you would take this and you would take this. And obviously when you break back through, that'd be a close. Alternatively, if you change color, you can close then also. I tend to run on MT4 with it and set like a 5-10 pip trail stop. So you can see that there's a short coming here, for instance, and I'll mark it up. Stop, I tend to go just the other side of the clouds, gives us enough room. It's always going to be relatively tight. And then literally as far as it runs. The good way of doing it would be TP1 at 1-1, TP2 at 2-1, and then let the last quarter ride. So for instance, TP1, which would be 50%, TP2, oops, and then whatever it gets. But that's just 25% trail stop, and I'll mark it up so you can visually see that. So 50%. Is that easy enough or what? I'll go through a few pairs, but I'll just leave it like that so you can screenshot it, get some, well, it's recorded, so you'll be able to catch it up later. Again, I picked red and blue, and I know there is someone who's colorblind, so I should change them to different colors quickly. I'll do yellow and blue. No. What's good for colorblind? It's orange and blue, isn't it? Yep, it's a 5-minute chart, and this is literally only for the 5-minute chart. Baseline number 1, only 3 plots there, and the settings, you only care about having a 30-minute teamer ribbon. Baseline number 2, 15-minute teamer ribbon, bar colors on. That's wrong. It should be like that. So bar Number 2, you have the 15-minute Teamer ribbon and the bar colors. It's recorded, so you'll catch it. And literally, you buy, you sell, you buy. You probably would have ended up taking this one, but if you've got to stop loss that tight and you're going for 1-to-1 for 50%, you just have taken half off, so you would have been fine. And then again, through here, you're not really breaking above it, but you might end up taking something, and then you'd be in a short again here. You sell, you buy, you sell, you buy, you sell, you buy. When you get this, that's a new entry. So when it's come and then broken through, that's another entry. So you'd have had 1, 2, 1, 2. This is where it gets a bit messy. But in the time spent doing this, because you're so selective of entries, you'll find that you're only going to be in for like the odd candle here and there. So you're still shorting all the way through there until you broke, and then you're looking for buys, but you only got one that started here. Nothing really happened, so you would have eventually exited that. And then it was selling again. There was just a bit of choppy, but it's easy. Oh, my chart's frozen. Oh, there you go. You sell. This is a manipulative wick. There's nothing now you can do about that. You sell. You buy. A little bit chop, but you've just come off of that. So are you really upset? No, not really. You sell. You buy. You do nothing. You buy again. You sell. I'm not sure I can make it easier. I'll move to some other pairs.
Are you entering on a 3-minute timer?
I'm literally entering and doing everything off the 5s. That's why I put the other time frame teamers on there. So the other time frame teamers are giving me the direction I want and telling me the trend. And then I'm just entering on the 5-minute when the candles change color. Is this how I'm growing the small account? The small account is just from me playing with this and the new indicator. Although I actually much prefer this for scalping. It's just easy because it's like you see it on one direct, like you see it says sell, you sell. You see it says buy, you buy. It's just completely brain-numbingly simple. You sell, you buy, you sell. You probably might have ended up buying in there. You sell. When is the new indicator releasing? When I'm happy with it, I'm adding a new stop loss tool. The way it was setting stops previously, I wasn't quite happy. So I'm taking it and refining it. I tend to only release something when I'm completely happy with it. But yeah, you can use this for clean charts as well. So if you do any form of like zone to zone theory, you can use it on breakthroughs and for reversals because you'll see the rolling over of the EMA, the Teamer clouds, as you get to support. Does anyone have any questions on it? Like here, you'll see that rolling over quite nicely, so you'll find that eventually it'll just roll over, or it will come up and do a proper big swing on a breakthrough.
Are you able to set up something similar for MT4?
No. There isn't a tool to do it in MT4 because one, they don't have triple exponential moving averages for a start, and two, they don't have the offsets, so you can only really do it with the pip hunter overlays. Why two teamers? One for different time frames. So one's a 15-minute, one's 30-minute. You can add momentum back to your LMI if you want, but you're going to find that they're not actually going to help a great deal unless you can get those settings just right for yourself. So if I give 3 examples, I had been playing with them. So the way I'd kind of started setting back D to try and do it was by putting it on a really long time frame. So I started off with like that, but then I went all the way up to like to really smooth it out to try and get some of the fake outs, but then you're also getting into the move really late, so you kind of missed some of the point. The logistics map index, I'm going to set that to an area quickly. Remove that lot. Yes and no, because it when you set it to an area, it essentially becomes a long-term trend flow and short-term trend flow. Long-term trend flow is when it's above 0 and below 0, and then the short-term trend flow is the color on it. So you can kind of gauge what you're kind of looking for. But again, there's times like here where it's broken through, but by the time it's broken LMI, you're going to miss the majority of the moves. So unless you're going to sit and play with the settings, you'll end up never quite getting it just right. And then again, momentum is too slow. Trend Scout might do it, but Trend Scout's going to still keep you in for all of the choppiness anyway. So if I've been Trend Scout, you'll see that it didn't give full signals, so I suppose you have got that going for you, but it also wasn't giving it wasn't staying bullish, it was giving partial signal. But it did also get you in relatively early. I mean, that's probably about the candle you want to enter on. And for the short, I mean, Trend Scout's probably the only usable one if you're going to use one. This is Euro GBP, so on the 5-minute it does do a bit of wicking. So if I grab AUD USD again. Yeah, you'd have been quite late into that. I don't know, it might be worth playing with Trend Scout to do it, but just having the 2 teamers and the coloured candles alone seems to be pretty strong. Can you set alerts? What would be the relevant alert? More add alerts. What we got? Teamer Cloud Crossing will be your relevant alert, and you just set it to either. So in the case of you're waiting for your bearish trend, set it to the 30-minute. Well, in fact, you just set it to the 30-minute cloud every time because it would be the one that lags. So you'd go to the one which has your 30-minute, which is this one. 3 dots, add alert, Teamer Cloud Crossing, once per bar close. I can do open-ended, but you probably can't. So, like so. And then create. And again, stop loss, you can do stop loss either by just following the line, or you can just go into MT4 on desktop, and on MT4 on desktop, if you right click on a trade, you've got trail stop and you can put in a number of points. So for instance, 50 is 5 pips, 100 would be 10 pips, and you can just get it to trail automatically. So what I kind of end up doing is I'll sit here, spacebar my way through, see what's just gone in for a new position, like what's available for a position. If there's a position available, I'll place it, set an initial stop loss, but then I'll right click the trade in MT4, add trailing stop, and put like 5-10 pips for a trailing stop. And then continue tabbing my way through them. So you can end up with a book that's just constantly churning because you're every sort of 10, 20 minutes, you'll probably find a new position once an hour, maybe a bit more frequently than an hour. But realistically, the three things you're looking for are the candles to go the color correct for the direction you want and to cross both team ribbons. Ideal is the team of ribbons actually changed to be in the right color as well. So both red for a downtrend and both green for an uptrend. You can get a slightly earlier entry if you just take the first relevant one that you're the right side of the ribbons anyway. Does anyone have any questions on it? It's just the easiest way for scalping. Like there's almost zero thought. Can I show it in gold? I sure can. I actually haven't looked at it on gold myself. You'll get into some big trends, but then, I mean, that is still technically going to be profitable that little bit. Even that one's still got some room to it. And then you'll be coming up for a buy in the next, wherever that rolls up. Just have to scroll through gold quickly. That would have been a good one. Gold's a bit wicky, but gold has always been a bit still tradable. Especially when you get the longer moves. Can I show US 30? Yeah. I again haven't touched US 30 with it. Let's get rid of everything. I mean, you would have been able to catch good portions of that. You would have had a portion here. Then it's kind of very rangy and mixed signals. You might get a couple pips here and there, but nothing major. I mean, that's doable. That's also doable. That probably would have just been straight up a hit stop loss. That's doable. Very small, but you would have had something. No other buying signals because there's one orange candle which immediately went blue, so you're closing near enough straight away. That's a good one. That was good. That's a bit choppy. Could you use the stars? You could, but you might get a bit late and you might find that it gets more like it's not as efficient as using the candle colors, especially like here. If you're using the candle color, it lines up anyway. Same with that one. That's near enough. That one's just like the stars, really, you can just turn them off. In fact, I do normally. But if you find they help, go for it. Like here, you would have actually entered a candle early with no star. Solid uptrend. You've been able to grab all of from like here up. In fact, you'd have had a re-entry here and here. It's another little one that was takeable. Yes, that is interesting. Does a lot of consolidation, but it seems to work overall to get some decent moves. Let's have a look for anything of interest. So we did just highlight this one where I set stop loss just above the teamer ribbon. We'll see if there's anything that I could realistically draw up. This one I could have drawn up, but it's a bit late now. But if I was to draw it, it would have been at the end of that candle, stop loss just above here. You'd have actually hit 3 to 1, so you'd have had 1 to 1 and 2 to 1 already hit. I just showed you a state. I'll go back to it in a second. Is there any position really here? You'd have had 1 here, which again would have hit probably 1 and 2 to 1. Yeah, it got just to 2.5. So you'd have had your 1 and 2 to 1. And again, here for the buy, I'll mark it up quickly. you'd probably enter on this one. Stop loss. Take profit, you'd have hit more than your 2 to 1, so you were fine. So take profit 1 and 2. Short position. We'll draw it off that one. You'd easy had your 2 to 1. In fact, you've had almost 4.5 to 1. There and there. This one, it's a big gap, so you probably would have not scraped 1 to 1. 1, it's 2, 4, 5. Yeah, that one wouldn't have, but you did just have multiple double hits. So annotations can be cleared. So there is a fair amount of room, and that's on ETH, which again is a bit strange to be scalping. This one, you'd have had a nice short there. You could have had the buy through here. EuroCHF does a lot of wicking. As you can see, every candle has fat wicks on both sides. EuroGBP is also a fairly wicky pair at times. But you would currently be looking for a position sort of like this. Obviously, your 1 to 1, 2 to 1, and whatever you can get for the third. You'd have also have had this buy come up. You'd have entered that candle here, which would have been stopped somewhere over here somewhere. So almost 5 to 1, 6 to 1 peak, somewhere in there. And not to mention this one here, which is even bigger, because that stop loss will be tiny. You'd have entered here, your stop loss would have been that big. And you would have had, we'll go to where it broke the second cloud, which is here. So you'd have had 10 to 1. And for reference, that would have been 44 pips in 4 hours, of which you've already just come off of another winning trade as anyway. So we'll put this one up. That one peaked at sort of 10 pips. Even if you closed on a candle break there, you still had 4.5, which for EuroGBP isn't that horrendous because it doesn't move. Euro NOK, which again is another strange pair. Could have had a couple entries through here, could have had a little bit of a short. You probably would have been stopped out on that one, but this one would have been all right. But in general, it's just all right. It's easy. EOS 30 again, that would have been your most recent. So you would have had a short from here. Stop loss would have been like that. You would have had your 1 to 1 and 2 to 1. Peak was down somewhere there. That was sort of 3. So you'd have had profit from that one. Grabbed, exited, waited for your entry. You'd have had another entry off that candle. Stop loss would have been down here. And again, this one went for 4 to 1. So you've had 1 and 2, and you probably got out somewhere. Even if you got out like that, that wouldn't have been the worst. 1.5 for the last quarter. We'll go to GBP ORD. That would have been pretty gnarly for a position. So you would have been looking at entry here, your stop loss would have been impossibly tight. So your overall position for this one would have gone to like 10 to 1 for peak. You'd probably got out on the cloud crossing, so we'll call it 7 to 1. That one would have then probably stopped you out immediately. So we'll say that's a stop of 1% or something. And then this one, you'd have entered there, your stop loss would have been down here. And again, that's like peak of 5 to 1, probably leaving somewhere around 3 to 4 to 1. The candle colors are all from one overlay. So the candle colors I've set. So that's your green and red, which I've just put to orange and blue, just in case the person who said they were colorblind is in here. And that's your black and white, again set to orange and blue. So you get long bullish trends and long bearish trends with it. You could probably, if you really wanted to, if I go bullish, which is, if I go bullish for green, I'll go bearish for pink, then you could probably do it this way to refine the quality of entries maybe. So you've got like the most aggressive parts of the trend. But it's also going to slow down your entries and get you in later if you're doing that. That's why I'd gone for the one pair of colors approach. All you have to be aware of is when it's doing stuff like this, and very quickly, like one, you tend not to get many signals when it's choppy like that, because you'll find that the RSI that builds up some of that candle color along with other things in there will keep the candles the same color, so you tend not to get many entries until it's really starting to pull the other way. But you'll also be able to physically see that it's a bit choppy and nasty, so you can just then leave it till you see a good trend starting to form. Normally the way to do it is when they're nice and tight together as lines. When they start getting a bit open, then you know that there's a bit of like unsettlement to it. If I go to GBP NZD for an example, again, big bearish trend, another one, and little bits. And these little bits, you'll get a couple of pips here and there, nothing major. In fact, that one would have probably been TP1 even. That's probably TP1 and 2, that one. In fact, we'll mark it quickly. Long position off of that candle here. And your stop loss in this case is like 8 pips. Peaked at almost 4 to 1. But you would have then had 1 and 2, probably got out there-ish for 1.95. Even this one, that's most likely 1 to 1, if not more, because your stop loss is just to the far side. So yeah, you'd have had 1 and 2. This one again, you'd have had 1 and 2. Yeah. And then this long position, stop loss just down there, you'd have had 1 and 2 before it would have then come back to stop you out at entry probably. Yeah, you will find that going into sessions, you'll get your major moves, so you could time it so you only look at session times. So if you notice you'll tend to get one, like a decent move at sort of 9, 10 a.m, sometimes even down at like 6-ish, 6, 7. And then going into New York, you might get a big move. But then at the end of the day, like here, this is all outside New York really. And you've still got a nice hefty move. So sometimes it's just dependent on the day, whether it moves a bit more or not. But That's why it's like you take the entries as you see them. So like, when you take entries as they pop up and you just kind of go with them rather than being necessarily over selective, because sometimes you'll get sessions where it's ranging, like for instance, London session. I'll mark it up in this box quickly. Starts at 8, goes to sort of 12, and you've literally just got a range. And that's in a session. But even then, you probably would have had at least TP1 and 2 there. Those probably would have had TP1. So you should probably end up being slightly better overall and then getting those big moves when they happen. That's just sitting choppily, but it's also going to be choppy because it's that first hour or so. Does anyone else have any questions? If not, then I will end it here. It's been recorded, so I can post it. Can I show settings? Yeah. Baseline overlay 1. 30-minute teamer. The only plots that are on 1, 2, and 3. Down there at the bottom. And then baseline overlay 2. Only setting that's on. 15-minute teamer. Bar colors set so you've got like a bullish trend and a bearish trend. And then again down the bottom for the teamer, you can turn the stars off or find them irrelevant. And that's that. Have I got backtesting data? No, because I've been using it purely on live data. It looks like it will backtest really comfortably, but at any point, in any case, any method you get given, you should always backtest on the pairs you like. It's a good place to start because it will get you comfortable with a method to start with if you just go and backtest on the pairs you like. But I tend to just run with something on live data on a demo for weeks, months, try it, see how it looks. Where are you posting the recording? I'll post it in the Perfect Entry room, and I'll also post it in the Pip Hunter room. For the Pip Hunter, it'll go into the Pip Hunter University room, and for Perfect Entry, it will go just into the standard general room, I reckon. Or it might as well go into Journeyman and Adventurer course because they're the most relevant rooms, because you get Pip Hunter with Perfect Entry. Right, I'm going to end the stream there. Have fun. You'll probably enjoy playing with this, and good evening, good morning, good wherever the time of day it is for you. End.